Yo, what is going on, you guys? It is Jack Bender, host of Bar4Bar. Welcome back to episode 5. Before we get into this week's episode, guys, I just want to say a quick but sincere thank you to everyone who wished me a happy birthday. So, in case you guys didn't know, I turned 20 on July 20th. And I just want to say I really love and appreciate all of you guys for all the birthday wishes, all the kind words, all that stuff. Because you know, I'm hoping for many more, man. I really am. This is what I want to do with my life, as I've told you guys a million times in the past. Doing this show is something I really enjoy, and I'm really happy to be back and doing it. You guys might have noticed recently on the YouTube channel, I've been doing some live streams reacting to the new music that dropped the last 2 weeks, including the Juice World album, the new Joey Badass EP, etc. And so I'm really happy to be doing this again, man, because it's been a tough couple months. I've been really busy looking for a separate job of my own, dealing with some other stuff. But dude, I'm so happy to be back. Let me tell you. And yeah, I don't even know what else to say, man. Once again, thank you for all the birthday wishes. Thank you for all the love and support. And I'm so happy to be back. So once again, we're back with episode 5, and by the time you guys are all seeing this, it'll be either July 21st or 22nd, I believe, or at least relatively close to then, which means that as of July 1st, we reached the halfway point of 2020. That's right, dude. This year flew by, let me tell you, and it's been a historically eventful year. It's been filled with ups and downs that they seem to come, go, come again, leave, come back, and or when something finally goes, another thing comes up. So it's been an eventful year, very up and down with a pandemic and some other issues going on. But I really personally feel like 2020, at the very least, has been a pretty damn good year for music. Let's start there. Obviously, a lot of projects that were originally anticipated to drop earlier, have yet to drop, because we're in that current predicament, that our pandemic, and which makes for artists that's making live shows and in person collaborative efforts, it's largely impossible or very difficult to complete just because of the current pandemic. And so, with that being said, I'm somewhat impressed that we've kind of gotten a good amount of music, a good amount of very memorable, solid projects that have dropped thus far. And so, with that being said, guys, I thought it'd be a fitting episode to just take a look at some of my favorite projects that I've released so far this year at the halfway point of 2020. We're so with all that being said, I'm gonna give my thoughts on my favorite albums so far this year. And keep in mind, guys, this is in no particular order. I don't have these ordered first, 1 to 5, 5 to 1, whatever. But these are definitely some of my absolute favorites from this year thus far. So the first one I wanted to go over is Run the Jewels 4 by Run the Jewels. Dude, I don't even know what to say about this record. Well, first off, let's start here. Back in, it was like, oh man, I don't remember the year, but Killer Mike and IP, when they first linked together, everyone, it was a lot of criticism and like, where's the chemistry gonna be? Are these guys gonna complement each other or contradict each other when on the same track? When they announced that they were forming the duo Run the Jewels. And dude, some of these albums, these 4 albums that they've made as a hip hop duo, have been some of those thought provoking, forward thinking hip hop albums of the 2010s, which is crazy to say, just because it was so unexpected. And these are some of my favorite albums. This is one of my favorite duos of all time. These guys are both brilliant lyricists, brilliant songwriters, all that stuff. And look, as far as the actual album goes, let me just preface this by quoting Kendrick off To Pimp a Butterfly in his song Hood Politics. What do you say? Oh yeah, critics want to mention that they miss when hip hop was rapping. Motherfucker, if you did, then Killer Mike would be platinum. Dude, no truer words were spoken. And again, Run the Jewels, groundbreaking hip hop duo, has rapper and producer. Yes, he actually had quite the role in producing this album as well. IP, and of course, legendary hip hop MC Killer Mike. And dude, this record was easily one of my favorites this year. Run the Jewels 4, we see IP and Killer Mike. They combine forward thinking lyrics with slick pen game. The production aids their performance by not only sounding constantly like unpredictable, especially with so many beat switches, so many different like stylistic choices for production. But again, it's complementary to the provocative nature of many of the lyrics. On songs like A Few Words for the Firing Squad, the beat sounds like it's building up at a consistent pace for nearly 5 minutes. Like imagine the Jaws theme song just dun, 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 or like but in hip hop form, and it feels like it's getting increasingly almost menacing. It almost makes you dread kind of something forthcoming, which I think is as far as the message and the overall kind of thematic the thematic message of the album goes is very fitting. And but instead we get at the end of that song we get a clarinet being played in the foreground of the beat. It's juxtaposing a pretty solid drum line in the back. Tracks like this seem to aim at making the listener almost uncomfortable in a way, like I said, which at least for me added a lot of stress to the seriousness of some of the lyrics. And by stress, I mean it's placing a lot of precedence. It's placing a lot of importance on many of these lyrics and many of the topics that they're choosing to write about. And so you have lines in there like trying to make it out the mud as a baby father is much harder. The same children that you love and adore, the court will use to break and rob you. That's a Killer Mike line in there. And like I said earlier, when this duo first formed, Killer Mike and IP were not expected to complement each other so well, but dude, especially on this album, they complement each other beautifully on every single track. They sound so smooth when transitioning from one to the next, and that is exhibited super well on probably my favorite track off the album, personally, but that's a personal preference type thing. Out of Sight, featuring a silky smooth and surprisingly damn good feature from 2 Chainz that closes the track out. And this album, while it was actually recorded back in the fall of 2019, again, focuses on some serious topics, themes and ideas that are just so almost scary, like relevant now. The line in Walking in the Snow. First off, Killer Mike's verse in Walking in the Snow, one of the best verses of this year. Hands down. And, the I Can't Breathe line that he throws in there was not even referring to George Floyd. Like I said, this album was recorded back in the fall of 2019, before, these protests broke out and this civil unrest in our nation kind of broke out. And, dude, this is just such an important album at such like a critical time, a critical point in our country. And I think that's what made it resonate with so many people, including myself. And dude, if you haven't listened to this album, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. This is easily one of my favorites from this entire year. The next album I want to talk about, guys, is Unlocked. Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats. That probably sounds familiar because as an album I actually reviewed on the very first episode of Bar4Bar way back when, dude. Holy shit, it's been a while. But as I may have mentioned in my review of the album, up on all platforms, once again, if you guys haven't listened, go check it out. Kenny Beats is seriously making himself a case for being one of the most essential producers in all of hip-hop today. Kenny is an extensive resume, and he has done more than impressed with his work with other artists, like Rico Nasty, Key, O3 Greedo, so on and so forth. But Unlocked, Kenny mightily, and I mean mightily, stepped outside his comfort zone and put forth some of his funkiest, most unique beats yet. His production and is surprisingly fitting with Denzel Curry too. Denzel's performance on this album was also stellar. He played with different styles of delivery all throughout the record, going from a very casual on riding the hell out of the beat flow, to going into his DMX type voice on the beat on the hook. And dude, by the way, fantastic. If I don't see DMX feature on a Denzel Curry track in the next 2 years, dude, I'm riding. I swear to God, because holy shit, that would be a fire track. But anyway, he's playing with different styles of delivery all throughout the record, like I said. But he's delivering it with the confidence of an artist who appears like he's done these forever, like he's done these a million times, even though these are all kind of first attempts at it, if you will. His songwriting was also pretty entertaining, pretty clever at times, and very engaging all throughout. This LP, it was a very easy listen too. It was just 8 tracks, just under 18 minutes. But again, very easy, very smooth listen, but entertaining all throughout. If you guys are looking for something that you haven't checked out this year, Denzel Curry's been one of my personal favorites for a while, ever since the release of Imperial, Taboo, Zoo, all those albums. The dude's on a winning streak, and as is Kenny Beats. But both, and I expect a lot more to come from these duos. From this duo, I've been seeing a lot of posts on Denzel's and Kenny's stories on Instagram and such. Showing that they have more work to come. and they've also teased an upcoming sequel, if you will, to this album. So look forward for that. The third album I want to talk about today, guys, is Royce da 5'9", The Allegory. Dude, so if you guys are not familiar with Royce da 5'9", one half of Bad Meets Evil, the other half being the legendary Eminem. Dude, Royce might never get the credit he deserves as an MC. This man has busted his ass and has been, in my opinion, equally as... No, I would definitely say he's been more consistent in terms of discography than Eminem. This is coming from a big Eminem fan. So, but this is actually Royce's first ever self-produced album. He produced every single track on this album, and by the way, which he did a stellar job at. Royce, and you can say the same about M, because both of them have picked up lots of production tricks and such throughout their career. And Royce has taken a step further to the point where he can executive produce his own album, which, if that isn't impressive enough, he does a stellar job at knowing what's going to fit him best, knowing what was going to complement his flows best, his delivery, such and such. And as far as the theme goes for this album, Royce takes a very thoughtful look into not only the most prominent issues in our country today, but also an introspective dive into his own personal life. Particularly detailing his troubled family life from the past. And being he's been, again, very introspective, very reflective. And this LP really does take kind of a dramatic tone, not in a negative way, though. It takes a dramatic tone to the narrative to not necessarily tell a story, but I guess the best way to put it is to rather, dissect Royce's mind in a pensive, sort of reflective manner, like I said. He seems to be picking it apart, almost like in a therapeutic type manner. What's running through his head, what's running through his conscious, and the way he does it is artistically, creative. It's beautiful. It's sweet. It's kind of uncomfortable at times, but all towards the same, end goal of making, a cohesive, more than listenable project. And I think the cohesiveness of this album is one of the biggest, selling points of it. And, Royce has always been good at concept albums, but I think this could be in the conversation for his strongest. Royce is impressive, and as far as the production goes, once again, he has impressively polished production. Very mindful songwriting, very mindful lyricism, and it makes for another memorable, hard to forget piece of work. And just like many other of Royce's projects, this thing will carry out in the future. I feel like a decade from now, some of the issues discussed in this, and some of his own struggles, could remain relevant and resonate with some people even a decade from now. So to see that carry equal relevance a decade from now, which I really do predict it will, is going to be cool, because it's really going to speak to Royce's legacy and how masterful he is as an MC and a producer. The next album, actually the last album I want to talk about, is also in conversation thus far for album of the year. Dude, and let me tell you, these two guys, they don't miss. I genuinely cannot remember the last time these guys missed. It has Freddie Gibbs and The Alchemist, Alfredo. And oh my god, is this project good. Holy crap. Dude, with Alfredo, Freddie Gibbs has really continued just this remarkable pattern of consistently fantastic albums. And Alchemist, he continues to make his case alongside the Madlibs, the Kenny Beats, the Timbalands for, the best producer in all of hip-hop. I think Alchemist is really top 2, top 3 in that conversation minimum. I'm really leaning towards number 1. But I really have to give that more thought personally. Freddie, and let me just say this about Freddie, dude. For as underrated as he is in many people's eyes, as underappreciated as his works might be, such as, Bandana and projects prior to then, dude, and Pinata's another good example. Freddie may be the best rapper on the planet right now. That's not gas, man. Let me tell you, dude, he has several classics under his belt. Like I said, Pinata, Bandana, Alfredo, his self-titled. Alfredo offers such a refreshing gangster rap sound that is only made possible by Freddie's rough delivery, rough pitch, and combined with Alchemist's grimy but rhythmic and groovy production, dude. And these two have great chemistry. I mean, I'm really, I've thought a lot about who has better chemistry, Freddie Gibbs and and Alchemist are Freddie Gibbs and Madlib, and it's really close, dude. Both of them have those producers work incredibly well with Freddie, but also they have very different styles. So that just kind of speaks to the versatility of Freddie Gibbs, no matter what the production is like, and for any LP he puts out. And like I said, Alfredo is the best way to describe it. It's a glorious celebration of the Mafia's, back in the 80s and 90s, undeniable influence on hip hop, man, both in its roots and also in its sound today in many regards. The Mafia. And this is something you guys can do your own research on. I'm not going to, go into a whole historian lesson right now, but the Mafia really did have like a tremendous influence on hip hop. In terms of, especially in the gangster rap era, when you got, late 80s, early 90s, when you have, and without that influence, I don't think we'd have a lot of great records today. We wouldn't have like 36 Chambers. We wouldn't have Illmatic, such and such. But while the album's very harsh, abrupt, it does a strangely beautiful job at exploring the fascinations of the Italian Mafia and the lifestyle surrounding it. And again, irrefutable footprint on hip hop and hip hop culture that can never be, unstamped there. And so, this is in the conversation for album of the year. I would say more so than even other few albums that I listed. Dude, Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist, they just don't miss. They've wowed constantly with their stellar chemistry that, it continues every single time to translate into a fantastic piece of music. I really don't see that changing. And then, like I said, Alchemist, already considered a legend. One of the greatest producers, if not the greatest producer alive today. He's up there with the Dr. Dre's, the Madlibs, the Timbalands, whatever you want to, whoever's name you want to throw out there. But, dude, this is a fantastic album, and as are the rest of the albums I mentioned. But like I said, guys, if you want to check out any of these albums, I would highly recommend all of them because they are all fantastic pieces of work, and I think some of them are very groundbreaking in a sense, and more than worth a listen. Now, for the final segment of today's show, guys, I wanted to do some Q&A with some viewers. So, I put it on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. I asked me some questions, and I haven't done this since the first episode, actually, so this is also a throwback. So, the first question I got was from Caden Cummings, and he asked, Bandana or Alfredo? And this is the fucking hardest question, man. How am I supposed to... Oh my god. When I got this question, I had to think about it quite a bit. Because, like I said, Madlib, Alchemist, two totally different styles of production. Similar in some regards, but also very different. And if I had to choose Bandana, like I said, both were fantastic. But I can't help that but feel that Freddie's chemistry with Madlib is just an iota stronger. That's how close it is for me, man. I don't know what to say. It's just a bit stronger than Alchemist, and it shows very visibly from my point of view. Alchemist has been a bit more consistent than Madlib in terms of total career projects done with other artists and career work. I think Alchemist has had a much more consistently good career than Madlib. I shouldn't say much more, but a more consistently successful and good career than Madlib. But Madlib's production seems to play to Freddie's strengths a little better, in my opinion. Half Man Cocaine, songs like that off Bandana, dude. Like those are listen to that track alone, and just tell me that very grimy style of production, from tempo to sampling and to mixing and all that, dude. It just seems to match Freddie's style a little better, in my opinion. Again, this is a really tough question, man. This is a really tough question, and I had to think about this for a good hour before I answered it. But anyway, question number 2, guys. This comes from Scott Johnson. Shout out Scott. That's my boy, actually. So is Caden, actually. I didn't realize whose name I said. Question number 2 is who do you believe is the most influential hip hop rapper when it comes to people like Lil Baby, DaBaby, NLE Choppa, Lil Uzi Vert, etc. This is the easiest question ever, dude. That answer is so easy. That's Young Thug. Young Thug is the most influential rapper of the 2010s, and hear me out on what? Hear me out on this. the evidence in support of that is right in front of our eyes with all the, not to use a negative connotation on it, but thugger quote unquote clones there are in hip hop today. In other words, the artists whose style and music would not exist without Young Thug's influence. That list is so damn long. Dude, I mean, think about it. Where's, without Thugger and his influence and his, his vocally based style delivery when he's rapping, where's the Lil Babies? There's no Roddy Riches, no Lil Babies, there's no Gunnas, A Boogies, Polo G's, etc. The list goes on, man. He was Thugger was a critical influence on so many artists that have again very vocally, melodically driven style and delivery. So that's an easy question. I mean, I guess the runner-up would be Future, but Future also took influence from Thugger because Thugger's been around longer. But yeah, that's a really easy question. That is something I thought about extensively too, so I didn't even need to think about that very much. The last one, question 3, comes from It's Domingo Kite on Twitter. That's my dude, actually. And if you guys haven't checked out Domingo's music, dude, it's a very different approach, and I think I would actually recommend it. He's got something dropping soon. I can't say much, but his question was, what are the best remaining hip hop publications? Here's the thing. I don't want to shit on other publications. I'm just starting up with my podcast and such, and to sit here and just tell me like that one. No, those aren't it. They don't. Like I can't do that. I can't absolutely shit on them. But I suppose I do have to answer the question. And the answer is not very many. Some that I will give credit to is let me think. Double XL. Double XL is more of a brand, and obviously it's a magazine. Well, it's a magazine too. So Double XL would definitely be one. Talk about content creation and just a brand in general. Let me think, dude. No Jumper. No Jumper is something that I would absolutely have to shout out if you consider that a quote-unquote publication. What Adam22 and his team have built over the years, man, is incredible. And, I actually take a lot of influence off Adam. He is absolutely one of the best in the business when it comes to conducting interesting, professional, engaging interviews. Other than that, I don't, with all due respect, I don't care for publications like Hip Hop DX, Clash, Wrap Up, all those publications, just because those focus a lot on the drama-filled side of hip hop. This person broke up with this person, or this person cheated on this person. I should say I don't care, but I don't care as much as I do about the music itself, man. Like if I'm reading an article from a true hip hop publication, I don't want to feel like I'm reading the National Enquirer. You know what I mean? I want to read about the culture, of course, but I don't care as much as about, YG cheating on Kalani as I do, analysis of so-and-so's recent LP or something along those lines, man. That's just me personally. I mean, some people, indulge in that a lot more than I do. But personally, it doesn't float my boat as much. Obviously, I pay attention to it. I pay very close attention to everything in hip-hop. But, that's on the list of the least of my concerns. That's definitely down there. So, I think that is going to be it for you today, guys. Dude, thank you so much for watching. And once again, I'm really happy to be back doing the podcast. Thank you guys all for your love, support, appreciation. And once again, thank you for the birthday wishes. And yeah, that is it, guys. Jack Bender, host of Bar4Bar, out. Peace out, guys. Have a great day.